All right, guys, it's Paul Singh, the Market Speculator, with the 5 most explosive earnings breakouts this earnings season. BullsOnWallStreet.com. We're going to talk about post-earnings breakout plays. There are a ton of them here. You can see my watch list on the side here. We have got 70 already that we have listed here to watch, and more are on the way. For the most part, all of the big earnings are over. The FANG stocks, Facebook, Amazon, Google, Tesla, Apple. We still have a couple of weeks more of earnings here where we're still going to get a lot of earnings, but we've got a ton of them to assess here. I've picked out 5 of my favorites. It was tough to narrow down. I could list about 30 of them that I really like. And in the trade report, we're listing those. We're watching them this week, especially if the market breaks out this week. We're going to start getting more aggressive with these earnings plays. I've already taken 3 or 4 so far. Let's start with AAOI. First of all, it's in a really strong sector. Semiconductors, I'll pull up that sector here, are on fire. They're at all-time highs, or at least highs that haven't been hit for quite a while. AAOI is in the semiconductor space, has been on fire, has already made over 100% gain. Fantastic volume pattern going into earnings. And I always like if my earnings breakout is already in a strong stock, and we've got that here. So on Friday, we had the huge earnings breakout up over 10% here. Now continuing today towards the all-time high. And what I'm looking for is a break of that 60 level. If we get that break after a long pullback here of about a month where we went from 60 all the way down to 40, now we've come back up. This big consolidation here could set us up for the next big run, which is exactly what happened last time. So a lot of times I like to look at the history of the stock, and you can see here we had a consolidation of a couple of months after a big run, and that set us up when we got that earnings play for another big 100% move. So we're looking at the same thing again. If we can break 60, maybe this thing runs to 100, and it's a low float stock, only 18 million on the float. So this thing could really start running here. So we're going to watch AAOI closely. Now let's look at our next one, Under Armour here. One of my favorite companies, just because my favorite player, Steph Curry, is an endorser of UA. But at any rate, we had the big breakout here after getting beaten down for quite a while now. With AAOI, I talked about liking stocks that have put in good patterns going into earnings. I also like stocks that have been beaten down, because that can break a trend and set up a big move to the upside. You can see here we got the big breakout, now pulled back to the 50-day moving average and has held that level quite nicely and is now up over the 9. We could actually enter here if we wanted. We could also play a break of 20. Once it fills into the gap, we've got this huge move up here to 25 that it could make. A lot of space in here, very little overhead resistance until we get to that 24, 25 range. So Under Armour, a lot of potential here, and there's also a lot of short interest. So when it starts moving, you could get a bit of a short squeeze. Another play here, Tesla. Big tech has been on fire, and with most of these big tech plays, even when they've had poor reactions to earnings, they have reversed. Facebook did that, Netflix did that, or Facebook is in the middle of that, and Apple did that as well. And I'm currently in Apple, and I'm currently in Tesla here. We entered Tesla Friday at 305 on this second day reversal of the gap down. Now, it's tested this gap range here at about 311.50, reached 313 today, and has pulled back in a little bit, but still looking very strong. If it closes above 312, 313, this thing could really start to fly. I'm being really aggressive with my target here, 335 to 350. If you're not in yet, I would wait for a break of 312, 313. If you get that break, that's going to be the trigger that completely invalidates the earnings breakdown. And this line here is the old all-time high. So watch Tesla very closely. That's our third earnings breakout. The next one, FSLR. Now this is already put in a bottoming formation before earnings. We were already talking about potentially trading it, but we couldn't because earnings were coming up and we don't know which way the stock is going to go. But now we have that fantastic earnings breakout, tested the 200-day moving average, and you can see that's acting as resistance here. But once it breaks that 200, it essentially breaks a big downtrend. So we're waiting for a break of 34.75. Just to be safe, we'll call it 35. If it can get up over 35, I'm most likely going to enter. And you can see all the room we have. This thing made a high here of 72, and we don't even need to get that high. If we enter at 35 and this thing just runs to this range here about 42, that is going to be a fantastic trade. So FSLR, keep that on your radar. Nice breakout and potential for a nice pop if it can clear that 200-day moving average. And now we're going to go for another low floater, HAIIQ. Low float stock at only 7 million. We're watching for a break of the high, which we're right there right now. What I'd like is for it to consolidate a little bit and then break this 65. We'll even go up to 21 here. But if it can break that level, this could really set up the next move. And again, it's already proven to be a volatile stock. The last time it broke a high here, it ran from 6 all the way up to 19. So a 200% move. We don't even need 200. If we could even get 50% on this, that would be fantastic. So we're watching HIIQ. We want to see a consolidation and breakout, and that would get me in. So 5 different earnings breakouts, 5 very different patterns, related earnings breakouts. So earnings breakouts on their own are not a setup. I look for these different setups. I trade 7 to 10 different setups based off earnings, and you saw a few of those potentially forming here. So keep an eye on these earnings breakouts, and there are a ton of others to watch here. Again, 70 on our list. If you're more interested in some of these earnings breakouts, or actually how I'm going to end up trading them, sign up for Bulls on Wall Street, the Swing Trade Alert service, and you'll get all that information. So I'll see you guys next week.